Well, there we go. Okay,
Right.
welcome everybody to the 1619 project discussion. We have a special guest today, Joe Swafford from Houston, Texas, is going to be telling us a story about the First Tee program that he's involved in. It's a mentoring program for disadvantaged youth. And he's been involved in it for a number of years now. Joe's a retired cardiologist in Houston and best known to all of us as husband of Melba. So
Yes.
who everybody in the group, I think, knows. So Joe, take it away. It's all yours.
All righty. Well, the First Tee is a program that is based around golf, but its purpose is for mentoring kids. And so some of my background is I've been playing golf since the age of 10 years of age. My dad took me out to get golf lessons to a country club. It was a Jewish-owned country club, and so they did allow Blacks to come. And after I had lessons, I had the opportunity to play with my dad every weekend, every Saturday. We would get up at 5:30 in the morning, go out and put our ball in the rack and try and get out for the first tee time. And so we generally played from like 6 to 10. And then at 10:30, after we got back home, he told me, go ahead and cut the grass. So that was the rest of my day's activities. But it was fun times. It was well spent time. And a lot of mentoring occurred during that time. A lot of learning occurred during that time. And so when I retired from MD Anderson Cancer Center as one of their consultant cardiologists, I decided that what kind of things can I do in retirement? And so my wife had told me, first thing is don't do anything. Take 3 months and let all the cobwebs clear. Give yourself the opportunity to get away from the work atmosphere and look at something that you might really enjoy. So I knew I enjoyed golf throughout my time at MD Anderson, which was part of the University of Texas system. I did a lot of mentoring. Melba and I would mentor kids all the way from grade school to high school who might have an interest in medicine. When I got to MD Anderson, I started mentoring residents, medical students and residents. And then as I got more senior in career, I started mentoring junior faculty, trying to get them from assistant professor, associate professor to full professor. And so really when I looked at it, my whole life has been mentoring of some sort. So what happened is I had heard about the First Tee program. I went out to play in a little charity tournament, and I was matched up with one of the directors of the First Tee. And he said, I told him, this was about 6 months before I retired, and he said, why don't you join up with the First Tee? And so he gave me his 30-second elevator pitch about it. And I said, oh, that sounds good. You can mentor kids and you play golf. 2 things I've done for a lifetime. So that's how I got to the First Tee. And so I looked up the local chapter here and got started with it. So let me show a little bit. I'm gonna try and share my screen. Hopefully this will work out okay. Screen. Share. And okay, so excuse me. Got to start at the beginning, right? So hopefully everybody's seeing a PowerPoint in front of them. Is that? Yes, okay, very good.
Yeah, there it is, First Tee.
All right, so First Tee's project is about building game changers. And actually the First Tee is going under a refurbishing of their program at the current time. And it's very interesting why they're doing that. I'll explain as I go along. But the idea behind First Tee's purpose is that we enable kids to build the strength of character that empowers them through a lifetime of new challenges. And what describes our world now is a lifetime of challenges. But the word empowerment is very important in that. And it's been important to me to try and help gain their confidence in leading them that way. The First Tee is committed to serving young people with an emphasis on the underrepresented and underserved populations. And I'm underline those because I'm gonna dive into that in just a little bit. But first, I would like to tell you about the program itself, and then let's look in terms of what it does with respect to diversity. First T's commitment to being a game changer has 5 elements to it. And that is, these are life skills that we try to encourage kids. The keys are to unlocking good character. And 1 is pursuing their goals. 2 is that you grow through challenge. You're not defeated by challenge. The other thing is that you collaborate with others. You have to have a go-to team. You have to have a working relationship with others in order to take things forward. You have to build a positive self-identity, and you have to use good judgment in all of these things. So those are the 5 key commitments that kind of underline the whole program. And I want you to realize this is a national program. It's not one that's local to Houston. There are 150 chapters in the United States, carried out in almost all states, and they actually have a few international chapters. I think they have 1 in Japan, they have 1 in Ireland, few other places. The crux, the base of the First T organization is their 9 core values. And those all include the honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, respect, confidence, responsibility, perseverance, courtesy, and judgment. And we introduce this to the kids at the beginning, but what we want is we want them living it when they leave the program. The program enrolls kids as early as the age of 7, and we hope we can hold on to them until they graduate from high school. So that's, we say 7 through 18, giving us a good 10, 11 years where we have the chance to mentor kids. So what is the First T coaching philosophy? We use golf as the environment, okay? Kids want to be in a place where they can play a game. So if you start telling them, I'm starting a mentoring program, they're say, yeah, okay, see you later. But if we put golf as the environment, a game, realizing that this game has a lot of rules, a lot of etiquette, then those translate into life lessons for the kids. We have the internal assets of the program. That is, there's a life skills experience that's built off of 27 different life skills. I'll show you the list. I'm not going to go through all of them today. It takes us 10 years to go through them. So I think kind of condensing that to maybe just showing them to you would be sufficient for today. The external assets are us as First T coaches, but not just coaches. All adults have a story to tell. All adults have mentoring experience. All adults have had challenges that they've gotten through. And so all of that is brought to the table. So volunteers, coaches, adult staff, all the adults that kids are exposed to bring content that is valuable to the kids to the table. So we don't turn anybody away who wants to volunteer. You don't have to be a golfer to volunteer for this program. And the idea behind that is, like I said, at the pinnacle of this, we want our youth living those 9 core values, not spouting them out as definitions, but living the 9 core values. So our building blocks, how do we do this? Well, first off, it's activity-based, all right? If you start lecturing to kids, you lose them in the first 5 minutes. So we want to emphasize doing versus telling them things, okay? Get them involved in activities. We want it to be fun and seamless. Yes, they're learning about life lessons, but it's seamless with the fun that they're having playing the game. Next, we want it mastery driven. We want them to establish themselves as having an intention to do something, and that provides their attention. If you give them something specific to do, they're going to put their attention to that. But we also want to balance the process versus the outcome. Golf, if you know, can be a very frustrating game. And that provides a lot of the challenges. But if you understand that going through the process and doing the process well versus looking at the outcome that you get, then you've learned the process to translate that to other areas of your life. We want to empower youth. So this whole program is youth-centered. Everything centers on the kids in the program. And we want it relationship focused. We don't want just the short term, I'll teach you a golf lesson and you're on your way. Like I said, this goes from 7 to 17. If we can capture our youth for those 10 years, there's a relationship that's built there between the coaches and the volunteers and the youth themselves. We grow together because this is a continuous learning aspect for all of us. And believe me, I've learned a lot of things in this program that have helped me grow as a better person. There's something we have in this continuing learning called a good, better, how. And that good, better, how is where we all look at what we do in the program. The kids look at what we do, the coaches look at what we do, volunteers look at what we do. And why do we call it good, better, how? We force this process where you have to give 3 goods, all right, when you're looking at a process. And then you have to give us something that could be done better, but not just give us what can be done better, but how to do it better. And so we put the kids through the process. All right. We'll ask for their feedback on the class we just had. What did you like about it? You don't have to use the term good, better, how, but what did you like about it? And you wait to hear 3 good things about it. And then what would you like to see better about this class? What could you have done, or what could we have done to make it more fun or to help you learn a little bit better? And you will get a wealth of opinions. Don't think that our kids can't improve the program themselves. They have that capability if you give them the chance. And then in that mentoring process, there's always the coachable moments. Something doesn't happen right. Maybe one of the participants goes off crying for whatever reason. It may be that, everybody else was doing so well and I didn't do so well. So you take that as a coachable moment. Maybe you happen to see one of your teenagers doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Well, that's a coachable moment. You pull them aside and you talk with them. That gives you the opportunity to find out, well, maybe they're cutting up because something else is happening in their life. So that coachable moment turns into more of a dialogue rather than you fussing. Now, everything in golf is related kind of around 9 because there's either 9 or 18 holes. We have some golf fundamentals. I'm not going to bore you with those, but these are the kind of things we go through in the golf activity that they're doing. But we also have 9 healthy habits, and they center around either physical healthy habits, emotional healthy habits, or social healthy habits. The physical healthy habits are energy. How do we get kids to make sure that they're taking in the right foods? You've heard the term, if you stick up for breakfast, it'll stick up for you. And you'd be surprised how many kids come there having not eaten breakfast or having snacked on something before they jumped into the car to come. You begin to ingrain in it. It's your responsibility to get something to keep your energy up because this is an activity-based program. And then play. You want them to understand that playing is fun. You learn things through playing out scenarios. And then safety. Safety is always a key. And with the little ones, when golf clubs and golf balls start flying, you have to really have some safety parameters. But you want them to be able to begin to say, okay, this is safe, this is not safe. The emotional healthy habits we begin to approach in middle school and the high schoolers. What is your vision for your life to come? What's happening with your mind? Are you being mindful about what you're doing at the current time? And then family. We always emphasize that family is important. And family doesn't necessarily just apply to blood relatives. Family may be a community. It may be a church community. It may be a social community, but that there's somebody that you would gather and have a meal with. So we expand that family a little bit to the social aspect of it, as well as being important to understand that you have to have friends, school, and community that all support you. Sometimes people that call themselves friends are detracting from your life. You get them to understand that you have to be at the center of this process. Is this adding to your environment that's good? So here's the 27 life skills that we go through over the 7 to 10 years that we have them. And the initial level is the 9 core values, and it's just introducing it to the kids. This is our younger level. And so we just identify those that they begin to understand what they mean. At the PAR level, some of the key things that I think are important that you might want to know is, how do you meet and greet somebody? We tell them how to be able to speak loudly and clearly, to state your name, to look a person directly in the eye, to shake their hand forcefully. And we had to modify that a little bit during COVID-19. We're coming back out of that, but the key to that is to understand that meeting people is important in the life that you go forward. You're always going to be meeting new people, and how to do that. How to begin to control your emotions, what we call staying cool. That's as kids get a little bit older, there are ups and downs in their life. And so how do you manage those so that they're not hills, they're not mountains and valleys, but maybe they're hills and depressions. Then the birdie level is where we begin to start looking in terms of, okay, you have a dream. How do I set a goal and build towards that goal? How do I take the steps to do that? And then at the eagle level, we begin to introduce something called building a go-to team. That is, having a support system around you. Appreciating diversity. Now, I'll just mention that this appreciating diversity was left for those who were 12 and above. Now, actually, we're introducing diversity at the age of 7 when they first come in the program, and building on that throughout the program. And that's one of the revamps that's occurring in our program. And then how to deal with conflicts. Conflicts are a difficult thing. It's uncomfortable for all of us. And how do you deal with that to get the best outcome that there is? Our top level students are what we call the ACE level. And they've spent the last 4 levels learning all these core values and life skills. In this level, we put rubber to the road. We have them take all of those life skills and have them do projects with them. So the first project is enjoy golf for life. And that's just teaching them how to begin to improve your own golf game. You don't always have to have a coach. There are things you can do. But I think some of the more important things are for them to begin to plan for life and career. You're looking at those who are freshmen in high school. Giving back to the community. One of our core missions is that you have to give back. And so we require a minimum of 48 hours of volunteer work. And we certainly appreciate that coming back to the first tee and working, but that's not the necessity. It could be, with a church or a school organization. And then exploring educational opportunities. This is the time for them to begin to look at what they're going to do in the future. After they've looked at what potential things they could do for their career, then how do I match that with exploring some of the educational opportunities that I would be interested in? Okay, so that's the program in a nutshell. But I want to go back to this, who does First Tee serve? And it's committed to serving all young people with an emphasis on the underrepresented and the underserved. And so the First Tee kind of defines underrepresented in a qualitative fashion. That is, it's not necessarily tied to socioeconomic status. It's tied to race, gender, age, sexual orientation, or disability. And these groups have historically and continue to be underrepresented in the sphere of golf. Golf has always been considered an elite sport. And then the underserved. And this is more quantitative. It's looking more so at the socioeconomic status, whether there's an income poverty level, lack of access to resources. And again, the game of golf has always been an elite sport. The game of golf brings with it cost, okay? Most of your golf resorts are very expensive. So how do we overcome some of those barriers? Because we've taught these kids how to play the game of golf, but the more important thing is we wanted them to learn the life skills, but we wanted them to carry this golf throughout their lifetime, whether it's at the elite level or just the social level. So first he started looking at, well, how do we define diversity in our own organization? And so the goal is for every chapter to be at least as diverse, if not more diverse, than its service area. And this includes the entire organization, whether it's the participants, whether it's coaches, whether it's the staff, board, volunteers. We want it to be a diverse population. So here's first tee of Greater Houston. This is our breakdown. We have 27% white. We have 22% Asian. We have 22% Black or African American. We have 19% Hispanic. We have 10% and this is self-identified, 10% multiracial. And then we don't have any Native American. We have 3 Native Americans or Native Alaskans. And so it's really 0%. But that's the breakdown within our first tee chapter. Here's a breakdown in Houston. 36% white, 37% Hispanic, 17% Black, 8% Asian, 0.2% Native American, and 1.8% other. The Houston population is 2.3 million. So you see, we're not quite as diverse as the population surrounding, and this is the city of Houston. This is not the surrounding Harris County area, okay, which is a much broader area. There are close to 4 million people in Harris County, if I remember but this is from the last census that we had just recently. So we have some things to try and achieve. So what about diversity with respect to our coaches, our volunteers? Well, you've got one of your longtime volunteers here, Coach M. You might know her as Melba. But one of the key things is that we found out that women, girls were underrepresented in golf. And let me go back to show you our program. Male 61%, female 39%. And so the charge was, how do we get more girls involved and interested in golf? You can get them to come, but if you don't have a program to help engender them to stay, then that becomes an issue, because a dropout rate is a lost soul. So Coach M decided to start something called the Winner's Circle, which was a girls' program. And I'm not going to start to define the program. In the discussion, I'm going to let her tell you what she did for the program, because she knows best how it worked. But that she was one of the first in the country to look in terms of developing a program just for girls. And then it expanded, and the Ladies Professional Golf Association did get more involved, and they start tying into more chapters. But it's now become much more of a prominent program throughout the nation. But I point to this one particular person who has done a lot to kind of get that started. Okay, so what does equity look like? We talked about diversity. What does equity look like in the first tee chapter? And that is, are there available additional financial resources for those that need it? Are there scholarships available, whether those scholarships be for school or for enrollment in the program, for national opportunities? And I'll talk about those in just a second. And then providing participants with access to technology. Technology is the key now in educational resources, and especially after this pandemic, it has become a great divide. So how do we push this program out? There are 1,000 people in our chapter, 1,000 participants in our chapter, but there is something called the First T program, and it's the school program and the community programs. And so as part of the First T chapter, we have some of our staff go out to schools, elementary schools, 141 of them in the area to be exact. And they take what I would call a taste of the program to them. And there's some plastic clubs and tennis balls and targets and things where elementary school kids can begin to learn golf. And this is called starting new at golf. It's called snag equipment. We abbreviate everything. We call it snag equipment. And what this does is the staff go to the elementary schools and talk with the physical education teachers and get them to buy into using this program. Now, what comes with the program? It's not just the equipment there. It's the 9 core values where kids begin to get exposed to the 9 core values of the First T program. And so those two tied together, the PE teachers are trained. And so that expands the program to a lot more people. In fact, 76,000 participants throughout the Houston area. What you ideally want is a certain percentage of those to come into the program for the full benefits of the program. But if not, then at least you've had some exposure to the program. This snag equipment is probably a cost of $500 to $700. That is given to the school if they enroll to the program. So we as the chapter provide that to the school free of charge if they commit to going and taking their kids through a portion of the program. It's not for a full year thing, just whatever they feel is appropriate for their physical education class. But what it does is it ties those key core values for them to begin to learn. We talked about technology. Technology is a game changer. So in the last 6 months, we developed a cooperation with AT&T to develop what we call our Connectivity Center. AT&T has given First T of Greater Houston a $50,000 grant. This used to be our clubhouse. It is now a AT&T Connectivity Center. And the deal was that they put 15 computers in, they refurbished the room. We still have our First T core values up on the wall, but this AT&T Connectivity Center is available for our participants, for their families, or for anybody in the community to come to use. That's the agreement. And so this is at the FM Law Park, which is off of McCowa Road. It's in Southeast Houston, and there's a high percentage of African Americans that live in the community there. And so it's in an area where it can be of great community use. But even just seeing our participants have the opportunity to get in there and use the technology as needed is key. It's key. So another equity adjustment done in cooperation with the First T and AT&T. Some of the national opportunities that our First T participants have a chance to apply for are extremely valuable to them. They are key, like the First T College Scholarship. The class of 2022 will be getting approved for their scholarships in probably a few weeks. They've been going through a vetting process. The First T Future Entrepreneurs, presented by Wells Fargo. The John Deere Drive Your Future Academy for girls. And then also the Power for Good contest is an essay contest. The First T National Championship, the opportunity for 78 participants to go to Pebble Beach to play with the senior tour. Wonderful opportunity. Participant Advisory Council. All right. The Game Changers Academy is where they look in terms of getting leadership skills. It's 96 participants that get to go. Now, I'm saying get to go. I hope you realize these are national opportunities. They go to places all over the United States. Obviously, Pebble Beach for golf, and John Deere, they get to go to a different college campus and explore. While the 96 kids are there, they get to explore what college living is about in dorms. Obviously, they get to visit and see the college, and it's different colleges that sponsor this for the opportunity to do these academies. And then the First Tee Innovators Forum. Coca-Cola has a Connect thing that's done in Atlanta at their headquarters. So you see, there's been a lot of relationships that have been developed with some key companies: Wells Fargo's, John Deere, Coca-Cola, the PGA Tour, First Tee has developed a lot of good relationships where the kids get to benefit that, and they get to go almost free of cost. Their board is paid for, their trips are paid for. They may have to pay for incidentals, but the particular programs are well worth, and no kid is turned away because of finances. And I will say that as the same thing for any participant who wants to come into the program. There's a $30 charge per year, but if any child cannot afford that, then they get a scholarship, a $30 scholarship. They come in for free. All they have to do is apply like a half page and say, I would love to come, but I can't because of finances, and we take care of it. So we don't turn anybody away is the bottom line. So that's kind of the crux of the program, how diversity and equity are being taken care of through the First Tee channels. This is, again, like I said, a national program. I've been pleased to see the changes that have occurred over the last couple of years about how to address diversity. And so I'll open it up for questions. If any questions about the slide, if not, I'll just take the slides down and come back to you live. I hope, let me see, stop share. Okay.
Well, Joe, let me thank you. I'm very impressed. I knew very little about this program, and I'm tremendously impressed with it, the whole mentoring and everything. And I had a whole range of questions, but I have a couple I'll just throw at you. One is, it strikes me, you got kids in a wide range of ages here, and that means different sizes. That means you got to have clubs of different sizes for all these kids. And so I'm kind of curious about that. And the other question is, you didn't really talk about it, but you're talking, I saw a lot of sheets that looked like you had check marks on them and things like that. It strikes me that as you go through this program, that you're doing some record keeping and reporting on kids and keeping track. I'd like to know more about what you're tracking and how you go about, the administration, how you do all that kind of stuff.
Okay. First, to answer about clubs, clubs are provided free for the kids. We have enough. If you know golfers, they have clubs, and then next year they have some new clubs, and then the next year they have some new clubs. Yes. And as long as you get the word out to the courses or to the individuals themselves, you will have, in fact, we have clubs coming in that we don't know what to deal with. So we do have the opportunity to just give them clubs. Yes. The initial kids at 7, 8 are not going to get clubs. We provide like chip, for wedges and putters and things like that they do for the classes. If we tell the parents, do not buy clubs when they start, because they're going to grow. All right. But once they're kind of in the program for a year or two, and they're interested, then that's the time you can look in terms of if you want to buy them their own personal clubs, that's fine. There are some programs that allow for kids and their growth, so that as they grow taller, you can send the clubs back to the company, and they will put a longer shaft in based on your height, and so that has worked out well. But again, once kids are kind of in the program for 3, 4, 5 years, they're stuck with it. They're going to be bugging mom and dad about clubs. But by that time, they're getting close to adult clubs, and those are the ones that we have just tons of. So we just say, come in, take a look, see what clubs you want to change out, and you have them. With respect to the record keeping is done more at the national level. Those statistics that I showed you with respect to the diversity of the organization are kept for each chapter, each of the 150 chapters, so that each chapter is aware of how the diversity works and what is their population like. As far as the check marks on the core values and the life lessons, those check marks are kind of looking at the categories of the life skill, but in order for them to move from one level to the other, they have to be able to at least establish that they understand that life or core lesson that we've taught them. So there is at each level a golf skill assessment and a life skill assessment. And the life skill assessment is done through two different means. One is by means of a written assessment. And we tell them not to think in terms of a test. We tell them it's just an assessment of what you know at this point and what we need to teach you. We try to put it on us is that this is not like school, go from one level to another. You have to go year after year after year. When you're ready, we can move forward. And if you're not ready, that means there's something else I need to provide for you, not that you have a deficit in what you know. But as they go from level to level, it gets more complex with the golf skill, and it gets more complex, as I showed you, with the life skills. How do you deal with conflicts? We have some mnemonics with respect to their understanding that. The second part of that is an interview process. So each participant is ready to go up to the next level. We as coaches may just say, tell me what you learned this session, okay? And then they may be able to list off the life skill for you. But then I will ask them, well, how did you apply that at school? How did you apply that at home? So that you take it away from just the golf, but really taking the life skill to some other portion of their life. And then you get a good idea if they're beginning to use it or not. Yes, Sally.
I have two questions, actually. First of all, do the golf courses comp the fees?
Okay. So we are lucky here in Houston. The FM Law Park Golf Course is their course. Nobody else can play except the kids. If an adult wants to play, then they have to have a kid invite them. If a coach wants to play, then we get to play. But but the opportunity is if we see a participant out there, then we're to invite them to play with us. Okay. So okay, I'm sorry.
The other half was, do you follow them once they leave the program? And is there any support system to which they can go after they've left the formal program?
Okay, so we have something called the Alumni Association, which is started about 5 years ago. And that's for that very purpose, is to bring, we realize that these participants have gone through the program, have developed some life skills, and have now used some of the life skills. And so what better person to bring back to say, this is how this worked for me when I was in college. This is how it worked for me when we got there. So I tell everybody that at the ACE level, I have the opportunity. I have been there 10 years now, and I've had the opportunity to take probably 20 kids all the way through the program and into college. I have one now that is in Texas A&M Med School. I have one that just finished veterinarian school and is working now in Dallas in an emergency vet hospital. I know of chemical engineers. I know people have spread all over the country. And so I'm always Coach Joe. And so what I will do is I will email them. You back in the Houston area, come talk to us. What's happening with you? But officially, there's something called an alumni program, which they sign up for. And that also gives them some opportunities to go to our national meetings elsewhere. So yes, we do try and keep track of them. Linda, yeah.
Linda, you're muted for some reason.
Yeah.
We're not here.
Oh,
There you go.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you raise funds, and do you have scholarship programs saved for college?
You raise funds any way you can. The biggest thing is establishing relationships with some of the companies around. You let them see the program, and companies now especially are interested in diversity and the underrepresented. And so that's how we developed the relationship with AT&T. And then we do think we all become ambassadors. We talk to somebody that we know that may know somebody else. That's how that relationship may be established. But there are some some national opportunities that the national organization will develop. Yes, Valerie, I think I saw you had.
Yeah, maybe Dick could mute himself. Dick is kind of noisy.
Nick, you gotta.
Good,
Yeah, there you
thank
go.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to apologize. I was late getting back home so I wasn't here for the first 10 minutes. How many, I know about Houston, but, I heard you say national, how many other states and where? I guess I'm really interested in California, New York.
Okay.
But do you have programs there, and where else?
Yeah, there are 150 programs throughout the country. Every state has multiple programs, and usually they're located around the larger cities. I know certainly in Los Angeles, San Francisco, they have large programs. We will take bragging rights. We have the largest program in the country, but they certainly have excellent programs, probably very close to most areas in California.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
So I'm gonna go back to Sally. I'm gonna go back to your question. You were asking about golf courses, and I bragged on Houston, but we have a unique situation. There are sometimes challenges that occur in other. Every first T chapter doesn't have their own course. We were lucky to be able to develop a relationship with the city of Houston, but most chapters are based around a golf course that was present there, whether it be public or private. And so a good proportion of our coaches are PGA professionals that may have a relationship with that course. So that may be the means of developing a tie. And most courses will give the first tee participants a decreased cost to play the course. But with respect to their lessons, those are pretty much where you can work at. Most courses will have a practice chipping area or a practice putting area or driving range. And so if we promise to kind of take maybe half of the driving range and leave the other, because golf courses need to try and make money. So leave half of the driving range open for their golfers who are coming to play the course, but tie up maybe some of it. And usually the classes are an hour, 2 hours. And several classes may take up half a day. So as long as you work a relationship with that course, they pretty much allow you to do it. What they realize, and I think they're beginning to realize, is that these junior golfers sometimes are going to want professional golfers, teachers down the line to help improve their skills, because some of them are looking in terms of having enough elite golf experience to go for a college golf team and there and beyond. So if you help them understand that you're not taking kids away from them, but you're providing them with a pipeline for more golfers down the line, when they see And then the lights kick in, they understand, okay, oh yeah, this can provide, more participants for my golf course.
What if a kid just turns out to be a lousy golfer?
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. This is part of the continuous learning. We have many, in fact, only 1% of golfers become elite. All right. So the great majority of the kids play golf for fun. Once you get them locked into the fun aspect for it, they were out there to just play the game. And so we want them to take that, throughout their life. I never became a league golfer. I started at 10. Yeah, I got to the junior varsity in high school, and that was it. I didn't even get to the varsity. But I tell everybody they could beat me, but they can't have more fun than I can. And that's what it's about. It's about enjoyment, getting out, enjoying it. And the life lessons that you learn while doing it are tremendous. So we don't turn out professional golfers. Yeah, we don't turn out professional golfers. We have had 2 or 3 that are on the professional circuit, but the other 4.5 million are just out there playing golf. And that's how many we're approaching with our 150 chapters throughout the nation.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yes, Dick.
Let me just say that it strikes me that your mentoring program would be good material for some kind of parenting program, because the kinds of things that you talk about and the way you talk about bringing the kids along, I think is wonderful. So I'm very impressed with the whole program. And one other thing I'd ask, if you could tell us a few stories about individual kids and what you've seen in terms of kids coming in and how the program has help them, and just some individual personal experiences. I think that would be very interesting to hear.
Sure. Well, first off, I'll address the thing about parents. We tell the parents, please let us have your children for this hour or hour and a half that we're doing the class, because some of the parents are golfers and they want to help with technique and things like that. But once the parents understand the program itself, and I think we're always trying to improve their understanding of the program, and then you start sending the kids with some things that they need to do to interact with parents. For instance, going over a life skill. What I do personally is I send a little newsletter out to the parents of the particular class that I'm teaching, and tell them this is what we went through in golf, but this is what we went through in life skills. So ask your children, what did they learn today about meeting and greeting? What did they learn today about keeping their cool when their emotions get frazzled? So if you engage the parents, they begin to see some of the lights of the program. And to be quite honest, we actually considered whether we should have a parent program like you just mentioned, because sometimes they don't get it. Let's be real. Sometimes the parents just don't get it, and the kids do. So we hope that's a success. So some of the stories that I have.
Well, the kids will be better parents as a result of going through this program.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be multi-generational, hopefully.
That's what we want, is for it to carry forward. And that's why we keep bringing kids back after they finish the program to say, this is how the program helped me. Kids don't want to listen to an old fart like me. What they want to listen to are those that they want to be like, those that are at the top level of the program. And so that's why we have our ACE level mentor become junior coaches to the younger kids. That's their volunteer activity. Because they'll listen to them with bated breath, because they want to be at that ACE level, or they want to be that college student who went through the program. The old fart like me, okay, Coach Joe, whatever you say. So back. So I mentioned I have one particular participant who started the program age 7, and I've had the opportunity. She's probably the longest participant that I've had the chance to work with, who's gone all the way through the program, through the Eagle level, graduated went to Bowling Green University on a golf scholarship, by the way, decided that she wanted to become a physician and was accepted after Bowling Green, graduated and was accepted at Texas A&M Medical School, and is now in her second year in medical school. So what better success can you have than that? There are multiple kids. We've had one who's come through and has gone into chemical engineering. We've had a couple kids come through who you just knew were going to be the worst in the world. One guy had attitude problems, very serious. He was the person that could do everything in the world and nobody could tell him anything better about how he could do things. He was just cocky. He had that type of attitude. And he didn't finish the program. Well, guess what? He went off to college on a golf scholarship, supposedly. Didn't make it because of his attitude. Guess what he's doing now? He's coaching at one of our affiliates. He's bringing the program back. And he's not a failure, but he can also say, this is what I should have been doing all along. So I consider that a success. He didn't reap all the benefits of the program, but now he's bringing back to the program. He's coaching at one of our there's another course nearby called Gus Wortham that he's teaching that. So not everybody finishes the program. I mean, the attrition is something that we're trying to address.
But maybe he didn't finish the program, but he actually did get a lot more out of it than even he realizes now what he did benefit from the program.
Right.
And if he had to do it all over again, he would have finished the program because that's what brought him back to help others.
Right. He understood the program. He said,
yes,
I didn't get it all at the time. He's getting it now. Yeah. And so he's imparting that knowledge to our participants, which is invaluable knowledge. His like I said, all experiences that all adults begin to bring back are valuable to these kids. Because you don't know what small piece of knowledge that they may lock into and say, "Oh, yes, that's me. That's me."
Joe, what
Yes.
do you think might have inspired him to even begin the program in the first place? If he kind of came in with an attitude, and what do you think might have? I mean, was it I'm going to show you, or what?
His dad.
Was there a spark?
His dad.
Oh, okay.
His dad
Well,
brought him to the program,
that's-
and yeah, it was great. It was great. And he's one of the local kids that lived right in the community there. So his dad had heard about the program, said, "You getting into this?" And he knew his son was interested in golf, and so they just went full force into it. So, but yeah, he had serious attitude. Yes, Linda. You're muted. You're muted still. Mm-hmm. Not yet.
Can
Well,
you hear me?
Linda,
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Has the retention and continuation of students in this program been affected by perhaps the instability of family moving a lot?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So the one of the bigger reasons is, especially in the younger age group, parents have to get them there. Okay. Transportation is an issue. And that's one of the things in equity that we haven't been able to solve. The National First Tee organization says well, get up a carpool, get a van pool and get them to the course. Well, it's easier said than done. So we have to rely upon parents to get them there. If they've got an older brother or sister in the program who's now begun to drive, that has helped in some circumstances. And what we don't know is kids who've moved to another place because of family needing to move, whether they've joined the program in that place. You know, so that information I don't have, unfortunately. Yeah, Melvin.
Just to highlight some of Coach Joe's efforts that he did not bring out is the time that he takes to ensure that his lesson plans and lessons are apropos for the kids that he is teaching and the age group that he is teaching. And he has been big with the little ones through various years, using Hogwarts and all of those kinds of creatures as the bedrock of some lesson plan that he is given, so that they have different houses that they belong to, and they compete against the different houses. He really makes it fun for these kids. But in order for him to make it fun for the kids, he is spending hours each week in preparation for this 1.5 hour class. Of course, he does more than 1.5 hour class, much to his wife's chagrin sometimes. But he spends lots of time developing the lesson so that it's fun, that the kids don't even realize that they are being taught a particular life lesson while they are learning this golf, because he has wrapped it into something that is apropos to their own interest levels, you know. And so that's another big part of what he does with them, you know. With his Eagles, you know, he would put his little lecture space with American Eagles sprawled across the wall in living color so that they would know that they were the Eagles. You know, he brings all of the extra things, and he's a kid person to engage them on their level. So he didn't tell you about all of the other times that he puts in all of this.
I will tell you that there is a degree of training that we as coaches go through. It's over a 3-year period. It sounds long, but what it is you take a weekend, you learn how to engage a level, and then you spend that next year doing some of the lesson plans and engaging with the kids and getting out to play golf with them, and then you go to the next level. So that you know how to coach all of those different levels. But you know that you can do 1, 2, or 3 levels. It's optional. I did take the opportunity to do all the levels. And so I do get to engage with the ace players. And that's what has given me the opportunity to see them from the very beginning all the way through their finishing the program. And Coach M, why don't you tell them a little bit about the girls program? We didn't have a chance to discuss that as much. Yeah, I know, but you tell them what you did, because it was key, and it's still known as the Winner's Circle today. And even some of our senior participants have now taken over leadership of the program, something that Coach M started. So tell them how you engaged still.
Well, mine was an effort to try to bring girly things, girl things, where they had their own niche at the first tee. And so I taught the life lessons using etiquette and nutrition and public speaking. I also brought female mentors in to talk to them about different professions. And I would have some kind of golf lesson associated with all of those different things. And I did it in a stepwise fashion. For example, when I was teaching nutrition, to try to ensure that they understood all of the elements of what each part, the vegetables and the proteins and so forth, that they needed as they were growing. And I found different articles, of course, to support that. And I gave them practices to take home to try out those things with their families. And I took them out like to a television station so that they could meet reporters and interact with them and get the girls in the forefront in golf so that they had their own little group of people that they were learning to play golf with, but they were also learning how to speak appropriately, because I hate to hear athletes on television not speaking the King's English, so to speak. So I made sure that that was part of it to make sure that their appearance was what it should have been when they were there. But I had several different aspects that I did over a 2-year period with the girls to engage them more so that they were really special and it was not just a boys' game, that they were doing their thing and learning and having some of these core values instilled in a different arena, but still having the golf there too with those arenas. That's it in a nutshell.
You know, it seems to me, Joe, that it would behoove the organization to have a formal transfer process in place so that if a child moves, he's formally transferred to the group wherever at his destination. Because if you're relying on parents who are busy with a new job, new house, and so on, it may not happen.
Right, right. And you know, it's kind of low down on the parents' list unless the child brings it to their forefront. So yeah, I that's something, but unfortunately sometimes we don't know when they leave. All of a sudden they don't sign up for another session. But we certainly have that network available to them so that if they inquire to us and let us know, we can tell them which chapter is closest to them.
Yeah, because maybe you could tell them as part of your education that if you are going to move, let us know and we'll make sure you connect where you're going.
Be proactive about it.
They know to ask you, because the parents may not know how to find the group where they are.
Right, right. Okay. Well, and that's part of that technology aspect that the whole First Tee is dealing with a little bit, because right now online registration is the way you register for a session, and not everybody has online access yet still. So we're compensating for that by being able to take phone registrations. So it's something that's addressed and not totally solved yet. So, oh, I can let me just one quick follow up. I don't want to take up too much time. We're about done, I guess. But so the result of Melba's winner circle, within a year or two after that, my Eagle class was 52% girls, 48% boys. So there was definite impact, even in the short term, of getting girls to stay in the program. Because once you find the key to getting kids to stay in the program is they've got friends in the program. Even if they're not the greatest golfers in the world, just like any sport, there's a spectrum of how they play golf. But the key to keeping them in the program is friendship. And if we can keep them in the program because of friendships and relationships, that's good. That's good. So have I told you everything you wanted to know about First Tee?
Well, thank you, Joe. That's an excellent presentation. If you would, if it's okay with you, I'd like to get your slideshow and make that available.
Absolutely.
Presentation. So if anybody is interested in looking at it, I thought it was, even though I couldn't see it, I thought it was a great slideshow.
Yeah. Well, that's why I read out the entire 9 core values. That was for
right,
you.
right, yeah.
So you could hear all of them, because that is the basis of the program.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing that if you wouldn't mind sharing, I think it might be interesting to see a copy of one of your lesson plans.
Oh, sure.
Just to see how you put a lesson plan together. I think that would be an interesting piece of side material.
Okay, sure. I've got tons of them. So
Well, just pick one that you like a lot, maybe the hogboard or something.
yeah,
you know,
maybe I'll
some-
do that. The one hogboard. The
some-
kids really,
something, yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah,
like it.
something that they responded to that you think
Okay.
has some special quality. I think that would add some interest to people following up on this.
Sure, sure.
And all right, well, any other questions from anybody else? I think this was a great presentation. And you know, when you started and you stopped and were ready to take questions, I had a whole bunch of questions and then you went on and answered them all before I got to them. So, so I think you did a really good job
Well,
there.
thank you, thank you.
I have a question,
Thank
RG.
Mhm.
But RG, could you make the video and Joe's lesson plan available so that
Oh,
I can-
definitely. It will
Oh,
be
good.
on our website. Yeah, we've
Excellent.
recorded this, and so you'll be able to watch the whole recording. And I'll add in. Also, we'll put in a link. I'm assuming that First Tee has a website. And we'll put that in
Yeah.
there. And
I'm gonna-
so yeah.
send it to my sister?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? There has been for years a First Tee in Pasadena down at Brookside. Do they still does that still exist? I haven't been in touch with them in a while, but
There, let's see, the closest one right now, I think, is in Battleground. Is that close to?
I don't know what Battleground is.
I know Battleground is south because some of our participants from Pasadena went.
No,
went to-
she's in Pasadena,
Oh,
California.
Pasadena, California.
Oh, you're thinking Pasadena,
I'm
Texas. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
Pasadena, California. You're
Okay.
thanks, Melba.
I'm sure there probably is. I don't know right offhand, but First Tee, what I'll do is
Because
also.
that's where a lot of us are located is
Yeah.
here. And I know they existed for a long time. So I'm just wondering if they're still around.
I'm sure they probably do, but I will first thing I'll do is I'll look on our website. We have a firsttee.org, FIRSTTEE.org is the website for the organization, and then they'll have a spot where you pick out locations. But I'll look for one specifically there and send it to Dick, the website address.
My thought was that if there were any of the folks that are hearing this story who are interested in getting involved, that we could do that locally here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That was exactly the point I wanted to make, was that you don't have to be a golfer to volunteer with the First Tee and be involved with their programs with the children. And so it would be a good thing for those who have some time to give to find out what the local chapter has available for you to use some of your time with.
Mhm. Yes. Yep. Excellent point.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, then we'll release everybody for the rest of the day and get ready for the weekend. So wish everyone a happy Easter and happy Passover and whatever holiday you might be celebrating.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you.
And to you.
It was a joy. Everybody take
Bye.
care. All
Thank
right.
you. It was very good. Thank you.
Thank you.